So welcome to Developers Meeting 2023, 21st of May. David is going to present us something that he developed together with Fabio, and I think, David, you're going to demo us something.
Yeah, sure. I can share my screen and can maybe go back and forth with Fabio a bit here because you know, a lot of what's implemented here has been Fabio's work as well. So
Cool.
just let me get myself set up here. Just let me know if you're not seeing that.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see it.
Cool. Yeah, so we've been working on a few different things in the app. As you know, we've been working on auto exposure, which is working quite well now. It's you know, it was a bit erratic last time I demoed it, particularly if we get quite frequent light changes. But we've made some tweaks to that now, and it's much smoother and working really nicely. So that's pretty stable now. I think that's in a reasonable state. We can still recording data against that algorithm just to check it and make sure it's you know it's really is stable. So, but I think it's okay. The additional work we've done this week is work on some metrics for kind of image quality. So we've looked at a noise algorithm I kind of briefly presented last week. That's integrated into the app. There's also a sharpness algorithm as well, which we find is quite useful for helping the user with focus the camera. So Fabio's done a great job in integrating them into this this kind of cropped area of a window, like a region of interest. You can click on the main frame of the view of the camera, and then it'll pick out a little region, and then it'll give you these measurements on a little graph, this real-time graph. So you get noise and sharpness. The only other thing that's been done this week was auto white balance. Or maybe actually, I'll maybe quit the app and then start it again, and then you can see in action. Okay, I'll maybe trigger auto exposure. You can see auto exposure is adjusting to target value we have set for day, so it's reducing exposure now. That's the current brightness of the frame, and it's trying to meet that target value. And if it gets within a range of that, it kind of stops, and I think it's 0.03. We've just kind of chosen now, but
can you stress it with your hands? Black it out?
Sorry, Richard?
Could you stress it
Sure.
by blocking with your hands?
You see, right now it's increasing the exposure, trying to reach the MSV. So
transition.
We might be able to make it a little bit faster. Just, I don't know, maybe, but we cannot go much faster, or else it will mess with the background subtractor a lot.
That was quick. When you took your hand away, that was quicker than when you added your hand. Is there a difference?
Oh,
Oh no, now it's
it was still
adjusts.
going.
Okay.
Yeah, it's adjusting. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
this is going down. Yeah.
So it works pretty well. I mean, the transitions are quite slow, just as Fabio said there, just to try and make sure that it doesn't kind of disturb anything with background subtraction.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll show you the auto white balance as well now. I don't know how well this will show up on over a stream, but we'll toggle auto white balance now. Here you go. You can see it's made a little adjustment. It's probably not very noticeable, but yeah,
You can just play with the white balance on the main screen there, and then toggle the auto balance for first to see if everything to be better. Just turn it off, then play with the white balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe make it.
Yeah.
Okay. Tuck. Nice.
Yeah.
Works within a second.
Yeah,
It's pretty fast.
So that's based on the gray. It's an algorithm called the gray world,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's pretty basic auto white balance algorithm, but it's commonly used, and there may be other ones that are better out there and more suitable for our use, but at least it's a starting point.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Why is there a difference? Why is there a difference in these reactions when the auto exposure is doing it in 1 second and the exposure adjustment goes over several seconds? Is this by intention, by design?
You're talking about the difference between the outward balance and the auto exposure.
The time to adjust.
Okay. No, yeah, the white balance stuff. It should not be continuous. It should be just a few times a day, mostly, because it makes no sense. It should be mainly to be stable. It's just for us, and so that's not something that will be continuous changing, and so you'll be having to adjust. And the thing with the auto exposure is that we don't want it to be a sudden change, because it messes a lot with the background subtractor. If we have a sudden change in exposure or gain, the background subtractor goes wild, because it thinks everything changed. So that's why we made the transition very slow. We can make it faster. We can adjust the speed, but that's something that we were playing with, just trying to make the background subtractor doesn't trigger a lot when we're changing exposure or gain.
Did you correlate with the background subtractor? Did you test it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we're testing with the background subtractor. Yes.
You did test it with the background subtractor. Okay.
Yeah, we can turn it on and off the background subtractor just for us to see and change. And the things with the sharpness and the noise is they are subjective. I mean, they don't have like a good value and a bad value and things like this. So it's just like higher for sharpness is better and lower is worst. And the noise is on the contrary. But when we're playing with it, you see he's adjusting the focals, and you see the sharpness going very low. So it's for helping us do the focals for where we want. So when we are adjusting the focals, it get much better until you reach a point that you see that's the maximum value for that spot. So then you have focus there.
Yeah. David, are you able to turn the dial further on the optic?
I think that's about as sharp as I can get it.
So what I want to know is from the range, from the ring on the optic, if you turn it from the very left to the very right.
Okay, Okay, that's right, all the way around. And now I'll go back the other way.
Okay.
And that's hit the other side of the ring.
Yeah. You are on the other side already. You are on the endpoint.
Yeah, if I go back a bit, it makes it slightly...
What adapter version do you have? Do you know?
Yeah, that's 2.4, so I think it's a slightly older,
Right.
older one.
We need to send you the 2.5 because that has a shift towards the center. You should then be able to go further to the right.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. I'll also check the mounting because I was kind of eager to put it together, so maybe I didn't get the mounting quite right on the adapter.
And just one thing I want to point out is that, as with all the other algorithms, with like the auto exposure and everything else, it's completely configurable. So we can change the target mean value for both day and for both nights, and also the ramping up, ramping down, and everything like this.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is configurable. It's running like this just because we want it to run like this.
Mm-hmm.
So we can change the parameters. It's just to make it clear that we can change it as we want in the future. We can put sliders, or we can put things for us to change on this kind of algorithm.
Great job.
Yeah, great job, David Fabio. Cool stuff. And by the way, we have to explain what that particular part of software is actually for. Fabio, can you just give us some sentences about it?
Okay, sure. So right now, this is just, let me just close in here. This works for a lot of different things. Okay, we have this app, and this app is mainly for us to use on the live cam, so we can adjust the focus of the lens and adjust everything. We have at least a set of parameters there. But anyway, this will be used also on the ROS2 nodes. All of the algorithms will be available on the ROS2 nodes for us to use. Okay, and so that's mainly so that app is a playground for us to play, to implement new algorithms and try new things, and also for everyone to at least be able to see the image that's coming from the KWHI camera and adjust the focals and see a lot of different things there. We can even see the amount of the available field of view that the KWHI camera has with this lens. It has a feature there. You just have to play to press shift when you are pressing the mouse, so you can see the amount of field of view you have for the camera. I have a lot of different features there for us to play and maybe set like the initial parameters for the ROS2 nodes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we have this app, and that's right now it's just a playground for myself to try new features there.
Mm-hmm.
And test also the speed, because I put it there. I do timings, and I optimize the algorithm as much as I can. And then when I'm done, then that's when we present something.
Yeah. Cool. One question to the yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, just I put it on the channel there, but this week I'll be working on the camera node for the ROS2, so we can have a live view from the KWHI camera for the ROS2, so we can start using it for the tracking and for everything. I'll be doing that this week.
Wow, cool. So this will be the first time that there is a ROS node where other software can subscribe to and receive the data they can process.
No, right now we have the video ROS node that it just gets a video and outputs it as images. Mm-hmm. And I'll be doing the same, but instead of playing a video, I will be getting the live view from the camera. So, but right now we can change the video that we're using. We can put any video there and try everything. So it's working. It's already working some sort of way. So I'm just changing the input stream. Instead of going from the video, I'll be going from the KHY camera. That's it.
So having said that, that means we can only use it with the training data. We can also process that material.
Yeah, we'll be able to get this live stream from the camera. So it would be great for us to get it outside, to get it outdoors and test it. So
yeah, both. Definitely.
Yeah. And another thing is that Dan did a great job on integrating the TensorFlow stuff and the training data. And I checked it, and it's working great. So we just merged it on the main branch. And so right now we have a TensorFlow node also. So we can put the classification node up. It's up and running. And we'll be able to see the classification for planes, birds, and things like this live soon. That's a great work for them.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Cool. So this runs already on the Pi 5?
Yeah, it does work on Pi 5. I was testing on the Pi 5.
The TensorFlow stuff as well?
Yes.
Hey, cool. Okay.
Yep. But for the future, as soon as we get everything running, I was talking with Dan also, we need to start switching some of the nodes that are running in Python to maybe C++ or anything that's a little bit faster, that doesn't tax the CPU a lot. Because for everything that needs to run on Python, for instance, and has to run on images, it has to decompress the image and then works on that and then compress it again and then translates the I have a cat here, and then translates the code back to the algorithms into C++. So it's a little bit sort of slow. Right now it's okay because it works. It enables us to move faster and enable us to test things faster. But in the future, as soon as we have something stable, I'll start converting some of the nodes to C++. So we can make it faster on running on the Pi.
Which would also increase the FPS, right?
Yeah, of course, yes. Because we'll be running a lot of the nodes on the Pi. Even if we have 2 Pis, we'll be running a lot of the nodes on the Pis, and that's too much stuff. So the FPS will be lower, of course. And one other thing that we can try for the future, right now that we have the TensorFlow, is to integrate a library that's the TensorFlow library for the Pi that utilizes the NPU unit on the Pi. Okay. Yeah. So we have it there. It's in C++. We can try that in the future. Not right now because we still have a lot of things to do. But as soon as we have everything working, we might be able to use the TensorFlow library for the Pi that utilize the NPU unit on the Pi. That's pretty fast.
Cool. It's like a small GPU, you can say, right?
Yeah, it's a small GPU. It's a natural processing unit. It's like a GPU, but it's only for processing AI stuff.
Okay. Cool.
We cannot hear you.
Ryan. You're muted, Ryan.
Okay. I was just gonna say really quick. I have a question. When the release happens and you're trying to calibrate individual cameras, can you go and select, say, for seasonal changes, like when there's clouds, scattered clouds drifting by? Can you adjust the speed of the exposure without, upsetting the image subtraction algorithm?
That's what the auto exposure algorithm that we did. We try to. It's running every a couple frames, so it is testing the amount of exposure that we have on the sensor, and if see that it gets too low because of clouds or anything like this, it try to adjust the exposure a little bit higher, and also to adjust for daylight times, because when we're going dusk or dawn, we have this shifting in things. So we have 2 settings, one for daytime and another one for nighttime. And also for the background subtractor, we have also another algorithm by David that calculates the amount of cloud coverage and try to adjust the parameter for the background subtractor to increase the threshold when we have a lot of clouds and things like this. So we'll be playing with that also.
All right. Hey Ryan, just give us an idea why you asked that question. Sounds like you're a developer too. You muted?
I just like the idea of, I'm new to this. I just joined yesterday, but I like what you guys are developing, and I have had an interest in tracking airplanes. And so, where I live in a valley in California that experiences a lot of fog during the winter, and so it's very low-lying fog, and it just drifts through. And when I'm thinking of like tracking airplanes overhead, I would think that the exposure would just need to be a little bit uh, modified during those seasons where we experience the drifting fog.
Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah, anyway, that's the idea for our stations is to be deployed around the world. So we have to account for everything, and we're trying to read something here. But anyway, we are totally open to new ideas or new algorithms or anything that you think that might be a good idea to try. We can try it. We're just a community of developers here that we're trying to think of everything, but we're just trying. I'm no expert in this.
I think that brings up just another good point that having just samples of images and video from all around the world at different times, different seasons, I think it's really, really important. Even if it's just a few seconds, just to. I think we'll have some aha moments with just seeing and looking at those samples. So it might be good to start trying to put something like that together, a little bit of an aggregation of samples.
Fabio, is this code that you were discussing, is this in the ROS2 TensorFlow repo?
Which code exactly? Sorry.
Just any of the Python object detection stuff you were mentioning.
Oh, that's on the simple tracker ROS2 WS repository. Right now, everything's on it's merged on the main there.
Okay, cool.
So it's on the simple tracker ROS2 WS repository.
Got it.
I'll send a link in the chat right now.
By the way, Fabio, is there any update on the GitHub changes?
No, not yet. I'm discussing still with Ido, but Ido is very he's very busy right now and moving from one home to another, and so because we're doing some structure outside of the GitHub itself. We're just discussing the structure, how it will be done, what are the projects that will be on this main repository structure. And we're discussing this kind of things for us to present before doing anything on the GitHub itself.
Oh, okay.
So we're just we're trying to we are talking to reach an agreement on the thing that how it will be done, and then we'll present it to see if any other have any comments on that or any questions or any new ideas. So we can create something and then we will apply it to the GitHub when everyone agrees on our
new structure, restructuring.
Structure, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Cool. So, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the so-called ticketing system is made on GitHub via so-called issues, right?
Yeah, the issues. Yeah,
Okay.
we are using the issues right now, so I don't love it, so that's okay.
But keep in mind that it's with respect to a repo. So if you log an issue, it's going to be kind of nested within whatever repo that you post that issue. So it could get lost if you post that issue to a repo that it's.
Yeah, that's true. But what we are planning is like going for like Google, that we have only one repo, and it's one repository, and with a structure there, and that's a mono repo. And so we're trying to that's why we're discussing this a lot. We're trying to see if the advantages and disadvantages. So we'll be only having one repo, and then directories and folders there, and permission set for everyone. So that's why we're discussing. It's taking a little bit longer than what we wanted, but we're trying to reach something like Google does. It will be a mono repo.
Okay.
Yeah, a mono repo for the main project. Okay, we'll be having like we might have repos for like I don't know, proof of concept and things like this that to be outside of our main repo. We might have it.
Yeah.
But for the main project, we might have just one repository.
So and below a repo, you can have projects, right? And you can have a project, let's say for the old SkyCam, and a project for the PDF. Is it like that?
Yeah. It's like that because each folder itself it can be a project.
Yeah.
Right now, most of the projects work within folders. It doesn't depend itself of like any repository, even like we're talking about OpenCV or anything like this. They themselves they have the main project, and if you enter on the examples there, it's another project that you can just compile the examples, or it's like this. Of course, it's a smaller example, but it's like this. You can enter and you can just open them on our VS Code, any folder on VS Code, and it'll be a project by itself. It's still a complex subject. I'm discussing a lot with Tidal because of this, because it creates a lot of different issues, but it solves a lot of issues also. So we're discussing it to try to read something that I think that would be cool.
Okay.
I think just one comment. I think alongside that, it would be nice to have a kind of a visual diagram of the kind of the software architecture. I've been thinking about that a lot as I've gotten to, dove in to kind of understand the code base a little more, particularly with the ROS2 system, kind of seeing that kind of the nodes in the graph, the relationships between the different nodes, and they're subscribing to different nodes, and that architecture, and really just the progression over time from the image through processing. I think that would really, understanding what each, package and folder, currently some of the components of the repo, what they're doing with respect to that process. If we're able to see that visually, somebody can kind of look at that, get a high-level view, and then dial in to where they want to focus or learn.
I got it. You're totally right. I totally agree with you. That should be awesome for us to do. And the thing is that the first thing I did when I entered Sky 360, I don't know how many months ago, was to make it for myself a little bit of that for me to understand it. And I think you're totally right. But the thing is that we grew so much from that. And it's like we're just growing, and so and everything was changing. And the simple tracker that Mike created, it started very small. It's exactly like this. It was a simple tracker that only got the image from the video and applied the background speed tractor, then applied the blob selector, and then we draw on the screen, and then it grew and it grew, and right now it's a complex tracker. And you're totally right. We need to do that, and we need to figure out how to. If you want, go ahead. It would be great. It would be great, even though it will be changing a lot for the future, because we might break down the simple tracker into other nodes and things like this. It's a great start for us, at least for even for me, to understand the connection between now the ROS2 nodes, for instance, and what node publishes what, and the topic that publishes, and the kind of and the type of data it publishes, and the kind of, because this is very, very important, because right now you have to look at the code, and that's troublesome.
Yeah, I've been doing just that. So I've been doing that for myself to get an understanding of that. So I've documented a lot of it just for myself.
Okay.
And I've actually built a few little tools mainly for myself, but they might be useful to kind of take a look at a specific topic and kind of get sample data from it. Yeah, I think I think having that visual, I like to be able to kind of look at the big picture and then kind of dial into where I want to go.
Yeah.
So I think, especially when I'm early on learning something, I think that would be good for somebody who learns like me. But also, I think it might be really good for, as we're thinking through how to reorganize, or how, if there's changes to be made, being able to kind of see things at that architecture view might allow us to see things we might have overlooked.
No, amazing. Please, if you have something, just share it on the documentations folder, and just put it there, and you can work there directly, and so we can also contribute on this document.
Yeah.
It would be great.
Hey Dan, isn't there a tool, a ROS tool viewer that gives you all nodes automatically and all the parameters?
So you can there are commands that you can do that with. So you can do like ROS2 node list, and that will output all the nodes. You can do ROS2 topic list, and it outputs all. Okay,
that's command based, the command that you said. But I can recall
there are
IDO
tools.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. So IDO had mentioned, I think RQT, if I'm remembering correctly. There are tools that you can install. I looked into it. I wasn't easily able to get it up and running and configured for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why, but it may have been a versioning thing. It might be it's possible that it was a ROS1 versus ROS2 thing. But another just side note, the documentation with respect to ROS, the ROS bridge library, the JavaScript library, I think is hosted on a site that may be down currently. Some robotic. So if anybody has information on
Dan, you're dropping out.
Is that better?
Fabio, did you see the last stream of Dan normally? I have a lot of dropouts.
No, I couldn't hear exactly because it's just failing a little bit. It's mainly the microphone.
Okay. I'll change microphones, and so if somebody else wants to go while I do that, it might take a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I can maybe give some input. So what I was thinking as well. So I've struggled to try and get some of the UI tools up and running on ROS2 as well in the past, and I think it's because of the Docker container that we use. I think we kind of use the base or the dev Docker container, where we maybe should look to use the full one in the sorry, the simple tracker roster workspace repository. I think we point to the dev Docker container as a development container. Maybe it would be worth maybe trying the full one or the Gazebo one, or one that's got most of the stuff installed. That might have some of the UI tools that we need that aren't installed in the dev container. That was a bit of a hunch. That was just one thing that I was thinking about. I just didn't get round to giving it a go and trying it.
Yeah. One thing is that the Gazebo, we're staying away from the Gazebo right now because it doesn't run on the Orange Pi.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but on the full, you might be right. Yeah, we might be able to do it. It's just change from the dev to the full. If that helps, then it would be great.
Yeah, it's worth trying, you know.
Yeah, the Gazebo itself is not running on ARM64 right now. I don't know why.
Okay.
In fact, it's stated that it doesn't run right now, but I think it might change in the future.
Okay.
So that's why even then worked on the TensorFlow stuff directly from the dev instead from the Gazebo that we had in the past. We're trying that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It was just, sorry, I know I've been out of the loop for quite a while, and I just sort of didn't want you guys like scrabbling around, you know, on something if that was maybe the answer sort of thing. You know, I just wanted to throw it into the pot, really.
No, that's great because we need you. We need your expertise, Mike, because you were on you're on that stuff for a while on the Rust 2. I'm just a newbie here, and I'm just start learning. So.
Oh mate, yeah. Well, I've only been working on it for a little bit, so I can try and give you my views. Yeah. So that was the one thing. The other thing was, are you guys looking at splitting out the project into like node level repos?
No, we're not thinking on node level repos. No, but we're just thinking about just a restructure of the main. The simple tracker will be part of a bigger repository. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And we're just trying we're just maybe changing names and convention and things like this for the nodes itself. But that's mainly it because it's just it because we started as a proof of concept and then it grew and then
it took on a life of its own, really. But yeah, so if you guys, the only thing I wanted to kind of highlight there is that if you guys are considering splitting it out into like node level repos, it's really easy to have a central repo that coordinates and brings all the nodes into one project. So it is something I was actually thinking about doing, is splitting it out into node level repos so that everyone could then, you know, so that like nodes are sort of independent of each other almost in a way. So it was just in case you guys were thinking along those lines. I just wanted to mention that. Okay.
Yeah, initially that was my idea also, but what happened was that Ido had a fixed mind on the Google Mono repo, and he's convincing me that to go on that way.
Oh, fair enough. That's fine. Yeah, no, that's cool.
So yeah, we'll be. Yeah, that's about it. And so we might be going on this mono repo and then on the folder level. and director level. So that's it.
Oh, that's cool, man. I just don't want to interfere too much. You know what I mean? Because it's like I'm also conscious that I've dived in now after like being out for a couple of months, and I don't want to like disrupt things. So but I just thought I'd mention that just in case you didn't know, and just in case you weren't aware, really.
No, that's fine, Mike. And we need some outputs. And when we present things, I want everyone to question it as much as we can, so we can arrive on something that's agreeable by everyone, and that we think that might be something that will make the organization of everything of the project itself better. That's the main concern of the GitHub changes. So it's just for organization and for everyone to be able to work on their own project, but in a more organized and controllable way.
Yeah,
it's just for this.
So
yeah,
are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
My mic working? Okay, great. One thing that I think would, just a suggestion. I think if we're able to get some just high level descriptions of what's going on in each kind of ROS2 package, and possibly that visual system level diagram, I think that will actually buy a little bit more time to be able to really think through the optimal structure of organization. But I think it's really important right now for anybody new coming in. It's very, very difficult to understand what's going on and to get a handle of just to dive into kind of just understand what is, where to start. So I think that's a very high priority in my mind to say, this is to understand the code base. This is where you first go, and this is how it's currently organized.
I was trying to get together an effort to have it like an onboarding flow, and I think part of it is just high-level code documentation. So like I'm going to be putting together a document just on like the bureaucratic parts of just joining a team, and then maybe if somebody else could put together like a high-level description of each repo, maybe like links to readmes or something, that I think would be really helpful as well.
Even just getting a README in each ROS2 package would be a huge, I think we'd be, I think that'll help a lot. And I think we're really close to doing that. I guess my point was just doing some of that might allow for us to be strategic with that, organizational effort. I just hate to have people kind of really waiting to dive in.
No, you're right. And the other things that now is the time to do it, because the amount of nodes will be growing soon. The amount of nodes, because we'll be having different nodes running in, because we'll be having like automation nodes. We'll be having a lot of different nodes. So if we start doing this now, even though it seems that we have a lot of nodes, we don't. It's just a couple, but it's confusing for to understand everything, how they are related, and how each of the nodes, what each of them do. So it's good to do it now, and then we follow the same pattern for the other nodes that we'll be building. So that's a great idea. We just have to agree on how to do it, and It's like if you have any documentation that we already did, just put it on the documentation folder, and we can discuss from there, and also on the chat.
Yeah.
And then on the next dev meeting, we can open the document and just see and just agree on to do something there. Maybe.
Sorry, man.
Go ahead, Mike.
The documentation folder you're referring to, is that a GitHub thing, or is that
No,
Google Drive?
Okay. It's on the Google Drive, yeah.
Okay.
Then we can make it to the GitHub, and to the. But right now it's just for us to agree on something and to document it there, and then we can make it to README individually on each of the nodes or anything like this. We just have to agree to agree on how to do it. So we can have we'll do it on the same way on all the nodes, or else it will be another mess. And we can, and if we have a standard way of doing things, then we can also make a tool to organize everything and to just document everything automatically. Instead of, but it has to have a standard, or else it will be.
Yeah. Hey Fabio, what about Mike's idea to structure it on a node level? I mean, the nodes are actually the entities that exchange data back and forth, and every node has a special purpose and code. What is the downside of doing it on a node level?
Can I jump in quickly? Sorry, Richard, can I just jump in quickly? So, sorry, I articulated that incorrectly. So, probably node level might be a bit too detailed, but you can definitely break Simple Tracker up into various subsystems, and maybe it's better at subsystem level. So you have like a tracking subsystem and a monitoring subsystem and a automation subsystem and and those potentially have a collection of nodes themselves. But I think maybe at node level might be a bit too finely grained.
Okay.
But yeah,
true.
so sorry, that was my mistake. I didn't articulate that correctly. Sorry about that.
And ROS, I guess, ROS 2's architecture, I guess, has, the way you have it right now is you have the folders, which, I think really translate to or correspond to a ROS 2 package. And a ROS 2 package can have multiple nodes within a package. So I think the subsystem that you're describing really corresponds to a ROS 2 package.
Yes.
Even though most of the packages only have one node there, that's true.
Yeah, but that was So that was, I was also learning at the time. You know what I mean. The reason it's done like that is not because that's optimal. That was just I was trying to figure. I was just learning, about how to try and do all of that stuff. So if I could do it again, I would probably have a package contain. I would probably have a package contain more than just a single node. I'd group them more into like
functions,
almost like like functionality sections or subsystems, or I don't know what the term is, but like areas of
So I think my guess is that when we see a kind of a flow diagram of the kind of the processing and see how like an image is, image comes in, it's processed, an object is detected, it's then classified, the progression of that, we'll see what kind of makes sense to be combined, and things that are that must be in series and kind of limit what can be done next. I think will greatly affect kind of the organization and structure there.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. You're right. It's only by doing that you'll understand the boundaries better. So yeah, you're right, Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Because everything is a balance itself, and even though ROS2 enables us to go like on a very separated way, of each node doing just one thing and one thing only. And in the end, if we have too many nodes, we might just be overloading the systems with many things that maybe we want to be able to join nodes together. Some of the nodes that do mostly the same thing, or like tracking things. We need to see it. We need to see it and to understand it. And you're totally right, Dan. And we should do some sort of graph with the connections between the nodes and the description of each node. So we can see it, and then we can think about it. It would be much better to think about it, looking at it and trying to organize it than just going on like just on sort of thinking how it should be done. No, I think it would much be better if we can draw it, and if we have the main draw, the main drawing.
What really jumped out at me was when I was looking at the map and time syncing them, and really understanding that messages. Again, the kind of the progression of processing is obviously very important, and that coupled with the time syncing, ROS2 does the time syncing based on the timestamp, but the timestamp is established by whenever the node processes that thing. So you really have to understand what's going on and the progression of it to get that right. So we really have to know what's going on and have a very good understanding of that flow to really get it right, but also to have new people come in and easily develop within that structure.
No, you're right. I think the first thing you should do is to make such documentation and drawing, and so we can see how each of the nodes is connected to each other, and so we can think about it. Yeah, let's try to move on this direction. Then let's try to create this graph first. This first draft, at least.
Of have in that documentation.
Okay, great. And then let's build from there. And then let's look at it. Then we can make a session during the week together, and then we invite everyone that wants to participate on that, and then we can go from that. We'll create this graph, and then we can decide and maybe organize how the next repository might look like, and how to organize things better, and the nodes and the time synchronization and everything like this. We have to go from the start, and I think that a good start will be this documentation.
Definitely. Hey Fabio, a question. I've seen GitHub tools that can visualize the content in a repo. So for example, it can give you a video even of the changes over time and what people contributed. So it's nice. They're great tools. My question is, there's certainly other tools that can give you a visualization of the structure of code, with all references back and forth. I'm sure that something like this must exist if such high fidelity things exist, like showing your whole timeline in a video.
No, yeah, we can look for dependencies between projects, and that's okay. And we have search tools that do that. But right now we don't have a lot of dependencies between the projects themselves. for instance, most of the projects depend on the Sky360. Most of the nodes that process the images right now depends mainly on the Sky360 lib that's in C++ that I did and that David's helping out because they have the algorithms for processing and for background subtraction and for plot detection, but the others don't. So, we don't have a lot of dependencies between projects, and right now it's just mainly one project, that's the Sky360 lib, and the Sky360 lib depends on OpenCV and depends on also and some others, and maybe we have the TensorFlow depending on the TensorFlow lib from Python.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's right now that useful for us right now. It might be in the future. We might want to organize that so we have fewer dependencies and more organized dependencies on mainly because of versioning. So we don't break anything while versioning anything, we'll release something new, and then it breaks the whole code. But we might use it. And one other thing that I talked to Idle, it would be good if you could enable GitHub Copilot for the developers.
Copilot?
If that's feasible. Yes, the Copilot.
What is this?
The Copilot is just this ChatGPT 4.
Okay, got it.
That helps us to develop new things.
Okay, cool.
It's amazing. It's very good. It's not very expensive, and if we have the budget for it, it would be very cool for if you could enable the developers to use it on.
Is this on a seed level licensing?
Yes, it's on So we'll have to enable for the organization.
Okay. There are several licensing levels, and we need an organizational one where we have, let's say, 100 developers or so. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't look at deeply into how to license it. I can look at if you want it, but it would be great for. It would be great if you can enable our developers to use it, because it helps a lot.
Yeah, I get that. I'd like to play with it as well.
No, it's amazing.
Okay.
You'll find it's very useful.
Cool. Hey, there was one word from Dan that dropped and rang something in my brain. Dan, was it you who was talking about time and time sync? Not yet, but let's say in Discord a couple of days ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it was him.
Can you recall what you meant with? What was your question about time?
Yeah.
Guys, I need just a sec. I need to jump out.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, everyone, and we talk during the week. Just ping me if you have any doubts or need any help.
Great job, Fabio. Thank you.
Excellent work. Yes, it was me. And I had brought up that it was important for us to make sure that locally, so within a local system, that the ROS2 nodes, all the messages that are being published are effectively using the same clock.
Yeah.
So if we're going to time sync messages, we want them to be, coming from nodes that are using either the same clock, or if they're on different devices, because nodes can be sent from different devices. Devices should be, have clocks that are synced up. Because if we go back and try to tie those messages together, let's say there are two cameras, and we're trying to have one camera coordinate with the other, that'll be really important to be able to time sync those messages. And if those are off, then it's not going to work well. So the idea was just kind of making sure that we have some mechanism to ensure that that is the case.
Can I just jump in there quickly? So, so the way currently the application works is it gets the header time from the original image message, and then basically that gets propagated. That time gets propagated onto. So it's almost like almost like an ID, I guess.
Yeah.
And that just gets propagated onto other messages that are processed on that frame, so that downstream, all messages associated with that original frame have the same timestamp in the header. So, and then you tie them together using that that time sync aggregator thingy. So yeah, okay.
So that's awesome. And that'll work. Sorry, go ahead. I cut you off.
No. I interrupted. Ignore me.
So that definitely works within a when you're processing one frame and you're processing the image there. As soon as we have another node on a different device, and if we want to coordinate the times, so for example, if we want to operate a PTZ camera with respect to images or objects that we're detecting and classifying on another, image frame, from one camera, and we're not able to do the processing within the same, PI, then we're going to have to, then we want to have those clocks synced on those two devices,
So
obviously, maybe, yeah.
May I add something? So from the schematic, from the very beginning, it was clear that for a global time sync, we can only use GPS. All other means are far beyond anything we can afford. So that's the basic source for a time sync. It's GPS. Okay. And then within the system, yes, you have several boards and they all run their local clocks. One is with a GPS sensor and has always an NTP adjusted to the current GPS time. The only thing is we then have to either two ways, for me, but please correct me if I'm wrong here, transfer the time via NTP daemons, or to use the ROS2 scheme, because I can recall that that Ido once told us that ROS2 has an built-in time syncing features, kind of, and that goes over boards.
So it does. So that's what I was looking into. So it does have the time sync mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have the central clock. So we would need, so I think what you're proposing, it works, but we would need the mechanism to have what really just matters is to have one source of truth locally with respect to the clock that all of the devices are effectively using for their clock. As long as that happens, we're good. We just want to make sure the relative time that the nodes are using to publish messages is coordinated before we do a time sync.
So Sorry, I did not hear the last sentence. It was crumbled.
Sure. We want to make sure that we have that the device clocks locally are, have that their relative clocks are synced.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there, for me, there are two ways. Either NTP services, where there's one clock, that's the server clock that gets the GPS time locally, or using, instead of NTP, using the ROS2 feature of time sync via platforms.
The ROS2 time sync takes the messages as a result of the clock. So that I don't think that the ROS2 feature will work to establish the clock's time on the device. I could be wrong. There may be a mechanism to accept the time.
I mean, this is certainly not something new to the robotic systems. If you consider any company that develop robotic systems, that's a multiple electronics board. It's not a single board.
Yeah, there's a solution.
And there must be a solution to that. So I can recall, but I'm not ROS2. It's a black box for me. But I can recall Ido saying that this is a system built in, the syncing of time via ROS2 nodes. Maybe it's a subscribing thing, that one node has to subscribe the time from another node, from a server node. I don't know how that works. But at the end, if ROS2 is not delivering this, not giving us this, there's still NTP, and this is. I mean, we're using local LAN with gigabit switches. I mean, the jitter should be rather low, I assume.
Cool.
All right then. Hey guys, it's 1 hour and 15 minutes. I would say any topic you want to raise, Dan?
I have one quick question. I am still trying to get my hands on a sample of either an image or a video of the QHY camera and the lens we're using of Sky.
I see. So at the moment, I think David does the most stuff, and Fabio. And maybe, Mike, you put your camera outside yet, did you?
No, I've not got mine still in its box. Unfortunately, I've not got around to do anything. I was just no. So sorry, I don't have any footage either.
But just to make the whole story funny enough, yeah, we have now, I think, 15 developers with the camera, the adapter, and the optic, okay, and with the Pi, okay. I know that because we sent them everywhere, okay. We know there are 15 or 16 developers having the material. Everyone has it in his home, not put out in the garden, okay. So I think it's time that we start putting this stuff outside.
But even
how much do you need?
Wait.
I just need an image. I just want to see what it looks like. You know, you don't even need to keep it out there. Take a picture of the sky.
I have the system, but I don't know how to get a picture or a video off it. I've never, you know what I mean?
Yeah, cool.
I know I can set it up. I don't know, will it record automatically when it's out there? I have no idea how any of that works. I've just, I've got the thing loaded on the Pi, and the camera works. That's all I know. I don't even know how I would get a video or a picture off it. I mean, if somebody could talk me through it, but
I know for someone who is code challenged like me, I do little to no coding. A documentation for how it works and what exactly it does would be really helpful, especially for those who are just joining and have no clue really how it works at all.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, the issue is there is no button in the tool from Fabio where you can record a video. That's the point. You can screen capture, but that's not the real thing. I think we have to ask Fabio for a record button. But the whole recording is actually something that Ido was talking with. Wow. I have to ask Ido, someone, some developer he was talking with about the recording stuff, because recording also needs to be in a ROS2 node, and it's also about
so they
playback.
can do it within the GUI.
Yeah, so there is already a ROS2 node that does do the recording if it's enabled. It captures info into a ROS bag though,
okay.
not a video file. So yeah, I'm gonna so I've dropped the ball massively on sort of the documentation side because there isn't any. So clearly that's a big issue. And I'm going to start trying to put some sort of flow stuff together so that because it's very difficult when you're trying to hunt in the dark through all with this stuff. So I'm going to try and put some sort of flow diagram together just get basically all the nodes onto a diagram so that at least you can see what the nodes are and that there is such a node. And then I want to see if I can just go into a little bit of a level of detail with them. I'll just start trying to plot some stuff now, and I wouldn't mind sharing it with Dan or someone because there's a little tool called Mermaid, which allows you to like diagram flows and all these sorts of things, and it's text based. So you don't need to. So you can just do like a Google Doc install. It should actually have the Mermaid add-on installed once I install it in the dock, and then you can sort of do flow stuff without without having to install anything in a way, hopefully, and then just have that as a bit of a start, really, and yeah, I'm just going to put a couple of nodes on a Google Doc. Share it with Dan if that's all right, Dan, within like the next 10 minutes, just to see if the sort of end user response, like it works the way I think it should do, and
great.
you don't need to install anything, and then then I can expand on it over the next couple of days, really.
Awesome, and I can add mine to that too.
Yeah, cool. Oh, awesome.
Perfect.
Cool.
And then, great. Richard, just so I know, when the lens and the camera kind of combination were being selected, was there any imaging done when that was, when that design was?
Yeah. So Christian,
do you have any images from that?
Oh, you have to ask Christian about it. He did a lot of testing. He had several Astro cameras because we knew we were going for the IMX sensors.
Right.
And we had, I think, 4 different optics that we tried, and they were of quite a range. And then we ended up with the Mikey and the combo with the QHY. Mostly as a compromise in terms of costs and quality and viewing field of view. Yeah.
Okay, great. So Christian might have some images
hope so.
He could share.
Whether he stored them and kept them, I have no idea. You had to ask him.
Okay. Awesome.
But for live material, for real captured material, I'd say either you do it by yourself. Do you have a camera, by the way? Do you have a camera yet?
No, I haven't purchased one yet. But
okay.
I need to do that.
Okay, so what we had to do is we have to make, because we have new developers who do not have the camera and the Pi and the optic, we have to round them up and see how many we are in need at the moment, and then we'll have to find the funding for it, and then we're going to send it to you. But this whole procedure takes a couple of months until we're there, you know. If you decide for yourself to buy it for yourself, you can. If you can afford it, then please go ahead. But if you can't afford it, then you have to please wait a little bit until we are settled with it. But it's definitely every time we try to procure the material that the developers need.
Thank you. Where are you located, Dan?
I'm in St. Louis.
So you're in the United States. I don't really use mine. If it'll be more use to him, I mean,
no, I appreciate that. I'll purchase one.
Okay, all right.
But I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you change your mind, let me know.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Great offer. Thanks, Wayne.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, I mean, I play with it, but I'm really not accomplishing much with it yet, you know.
Yeah, we all have to wait until the software is done. I know.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
I play with mine as well.
Gotta push Mike, right? Nice to see you again, Mike. Missed you.
Not only Mike.
Right. Yeah, no, sorry, man. No. Sorry, man. I've just got some other stuff going on at the moment, so I'm just kind of tied up a little bit. But as soon as all that calms down, I'll definitely be back with a bit of gusto. So I'll try and help then as much as I can. I'm just like paddling a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, for the new people, Mike's one of the good guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks.
Great. Yeah, I think as soon as we can get that footage in general, it would be great, because I think we're going to want to train models based on that specifically. And I think we're going to. I have a concern with respect to the cropping of the field of view with that lens, and what it's going to do with respect to the time to detect an object in the future with respect to the secondary camera, being able to quickly track and zoom in. So I think it's really important to get that working and see what we're actually going to be working with as soon as possible.
And if I may add something, will the device be live tracking known airplanes? Because I know that can really help train the model as well.
Yeah, so basically we track everything that moves, and we try to correlate with any kind of database there is. So adsb, either the database adsb or you have a local adsb receiver, there's correlation. Anything else must be either BIOS, so it's either birds, bugs, bees, and bats, all the bees. And yeah, drones is very popular at the moment. And the rest, what is not being identified, like let's say a drone is more or less easily identifiable. Let's say if you have a good resolution, it's just not 1 pixel, then you can identify it rather easily. But the rest is unknown, and that's what we record. And then recurring learning and viewing as a human, what is it, and then so. But we have Nicola here, finally. Nicola,
hello
there you
guys,
are.
sorry for not being here last few weeks. I had an awesome vacation, and I just decided let's not work at all. So now I'm back, and
good decision.
Yeah, I was playing around with tidying up my single frame classifier so I can finally flip the repository status from private to public. But nothing significant there. I'm still working on this meta file which explains how the classes are tied to output neurons. So we know when third neuron at the output activates, it's blurred or something. Yeah, and that's it. And I'm working with JDXM on this topic of collecting more data for machine learning efforts by using adsb data from the Open Sky network. And JDXM managed to contact them via email and to procure access for unlimited data pretty much. I think we still have some constraints, like we should not query entire database all at once, but just what we actually need to not abuse the system.
Yeah.
But this is a step forward, I think, because alternative is to use Open Sky Network REST API, which is limited with API points. So every day you get to spend 4,000 API points on their API to retrieve the information. And the most cost-effective way of spending the API points is to fetch all the planes for entire planet every, I don't know, 45 seconds. Because if you focus on a region, on some regions, and if we download it more frequently, we'll spend all the API points without gathering any awesome data. I mean, maybe we could implement also a region of interest if we have some developer stations positioned somewhere to focus more on that regions. But right now I'm working with pulling all the data for entire world as much as I can, and then yeah, we are about to match GPS coordinates from the aircraft that we receive via adsb data with motion in our frame. So yeah, we're working on it, but it's still not near the end. There is still a lot of things.
May I give context so that our people who are here know what we're talking about? So the thing is that with the old system, it's not the QHY camera, it's the old Dahua camera, 12 megapixel fisheye camera, field of view around about 180 degrees. We captured, I think, around about 3 terabytes of videos, so it's a couple of 10,000, I think 60,000 videos.
I have 84,000 videos.
You have 84,000, okay, even.
I think 84,000, yeah.
Okay. So, but this is historic data. It's recorded, let's say, through the last 2-3 years. And what Nicola is now doing is training his model with that material, where he can correlate the objects that are tracked and cropped. He receives the images and can correlate the coordinates with the coordinates given from the adsb database. So to see that what I trained you now on, you model you are, this is all a plane. And even this is an Airbus, and this is whatever.
Yeah, everything is plain just right now, because I don't differentiate them from the crops. I see, oh yeah, it's plain or it's bird. There is no third thing. I mean, clouds and droplets so far.
But with the PTF camera, we will be able to do that.
Oh yeah. And we're most likely going to reuse the single frame classifier, because architecture could still be applicable. We just need to tweak the config parameters, how big the input picture will be, and to give it data.
Cool.
How long does it take to train a model?
So right now, this model that we plan, this single frame classifier, it takes around 2 minutes on CPU.
Okay.
Because it
So
works
it's
with
really
really
just a
tiny
matter of
crops,
prepping the
and
data.
we don't have like huge amounts of data. We have, I don't know, 70,000 crops that are labeled, 70K, and it can chew all of that in a few seconds on GPU and 2 minutes on CPU.
The crops that you have, do you have the center coordinate of the crop
Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat? Do I have what?
Do you have the center coordinate
Yes.
of the crop?
The simple tracker tool produces crop for me. So simple tracker is the one keeping track of coordinates,
And
where
yes,
to crop, where is
Okay.
the center of object and everything. I was working only with.
I didn't know where the
actually
training data was from.
Yeah. The simple tracker produced training data, unlabeled training data. So I labeled it
So
by
could
hand.
we? Gotcha. Could we potentially do a set of models that are
Yeah, I'm switching to headphones as well. I'm untangling the cables. Sorry, I don't
you
hear.
have to switch. Dan, can you hear me? We cannot
I
hear
keep
you.
now?
Oh, it's interrupted. I think the battery of your headsets is down.
Right. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I had to switch. I charged my other one. So I guess my question is, could we parse the training data into a few different buckets based on the location of the object with respect to the center of the camera? So depending on how much distortion, so like the radius away from
and
the
I
center.
understand what you mean. I think that JSON files that are produced by Simple Tracker contain such information because they contain everything for entire track. The first frame when it was detected, its position across all frames that we managed to capture and detect the object.
Yeah,
so in theory, we could say, okay, this crop belongs to the center portion of the projection, and some of them belong to the edge, or any value in between. In theory, we could.
So we could do, let's say, a few bands of circular bands, and we could potentially apply a different model
depending on in which region it
a
is.
different band.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
True.
Because the same object is going to look very, very different depending on where it is in the camera. And the distance away from the center of the camera is the parameter that defines it.
Your voice is getting Terminator or something.
Like Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I am your father.
I'm going to get a different microphone in the future.
I think it's network.
I'll get a different network in the future. But are you able to hear me at all?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, yes.
So, did you effectively hear what I said in terms of we could have different circular bands?
So, and one model per band. Or
Yes.
something like that. Yeah, we could. Yes. But now if we have maybe that's a even better approach. But one thing that comes to mind is what if we have an object that goes through multiple bands, and then we employ multiple algorithms, and then when we compose all of these classification data at the end and represent it somehow, maybe there will be significant spikes or decreases in accuracy when it goes from band to band, when it switches the algorithm which is classifying it. So because let's say
I would expect that to happen.
Yeah.
But at the end, the idea of Dan to let's say give it a parameter, so the coordinate itself, let's say the distance from the current coordinate of the crop towards the center, the center point, let's say the center point of the view, that could be a weight.
Additional input.
Yeah, kind of additional input, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
a
but
plane looks different if you watch it like this or in
yes,
the distance.
it does. But again, if you have enough examples of edge planes, I mean lens edge planes, then
But it's a
algorithm should learn.
significant, right? But it's a significant disadvantage that we're giving the model by doing a fisheye lens unless we do something like that. Unless we give it the information, unless we give it that radius information
Yeah.
in some way. And if we can't give it that radius information,
Like a distance from
when
center.
serving as an input, as a multimodal input, then we need to select a different model prior to giving it the, just the image.
Yes, using the bands method, rings. Yeah, but when it is multimodal, then we just measure the distance from the center and feed it as a floating point. That is a rescale from 0 to 1, so model can work with it without exploding.
Yeah.
So another. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in the future, we may look at also using. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Richard. I lost my train of thought.
No, what is still missing, Nicola, is you can recall I posted this the ChatGPT output.
True North.
Pardon me?
True North.
True
how
North.
it's called.
Yes. True North. Yeah. So because this is important. If you have adsb data, you have to correlate with the local view coordinates.
To transform the aircraft 3D GPS points into
you only need
pixel.
You need the elevation and the azimuth. And there are.
So we take our coordinates, aircraft coordinates. We calculate azimuth and the offset.
Yes.
From north.
Yes.
Yeah. This needs to happen at some point. I did look at your code a little bit, but did not run it, did not modify anything. But I'm aware that it needs to happen when we try to generate more data for AI.
Yeah, absolutely. The only take from these codes is what libraries from Python can be used and how to call them. That's what I found interesting. That's already there. Everything is there.
There is a message. Correcting the fisheye effect. Yeah, could be useful. But again, maybe if we train our AIs in such way that they look in distorted fisheye images, then we don't need to correct it because model will adjust for it.
Yeah. And correction means CPU time, consuming CPU time, and for the end, the outcome is that you have data that is already altered, and we want to work on the raw data as possible. Dan, what do you want to say?
So, I was just saying that I agree that would be better, but to your point, Richard, even better would be doing it faster, earlier, with a I think if it's not multimodal, I think the banded approach makes sense.
Okay, this is two different things. So what you were talking about is a weight or another parameter.
Modalities.
For a modality, okay. But Nicola was mentioning at the very beginning that he wants to correlate these the training material, with historic adsb data. But in order to do that, he needs to calculate what the the elevation and azimuth is between two geocoordinates, the station and the plane. And then when you have this elevation and azimuth, then you can recalculate into the pixel coordinates from your view. And then you can see whether it's a plane, what you see in the track, because it's close to where it should be, with some elasticity.
And this is also just idea to generate more data for the master AI. And also it will be useful in the future because using this data from hard disk, it enables us to create data pipelines that we are going to use in production with QHY data.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because either we correlate with a database or we correlate with the local adsb receiver. So either way, it needs correlation. So yes.
Do we have any sample?
Can I have a little bit more time, because now that we are on database topic, I want to continue on it. I started making this system in Node.js where I collect all kind of interesting data in a database. So I want to keep track of all the produced files, for example, by all of our tools, which is Cloud Estimator, Simple Tracker, a vibe tuner, a lot of things. I want to keep track of all the legacy files, all the new files that we are going to get for first run. So if someone comes up with some kind of experiment, and as a requirement of this experiment is that we have, I don't know, temperature data for some location or weather data for some location and adsb data and some random data, hopefully this system will give us ability to query it using GraphQL and to retrieve exactly what we need. And the first step that I plan to do is to integrate adsb data to have a live fetch from the network every 30 seconds to capture all the flights for entire world and to store it in database.
Okay, so Nicola,
for our usage.
Cool, Nicola. But I would suggest you correlate with IDO, because IDO is talking with another developer I'm not familiar right now with about recording, database recording and playback. And I think you two should correlate on that.
He already pointed to me that Neo4j is not real time, and this software I am not designing it to run as a part of a station. It's more like ML efforts, because I want to create a system that will help us train AI simpler.
Yeah, okay.
So it doesn't need to be real time. When we create a query, it can take 15 seconds before we receive the data, but we will receive it at some point, and then we can run whatever we want to check. So it will most likely be forgotten in 2 years. It will never make it to, I don't know, anywhere useful, but it will help us at least to see what we need or what we don't.
At least it's an important start. Absolutely.
So the main idea is to keep track of derived data, which comes from APIs, which comes from sensors, which comes from our tools.
Yeah. I would just make sure, and please correlate this with IDO, that not someone else is doing the same thing that you are doing. So that should be correlated somehow.
Could be, yeah. I will write him, show him the code. Oh yeah, also one more thing regarding data. This HDD data is being shared using IPFS. I did one quick check with Bojan regarding reachability to see if he can explore the file system hierarchy and to download few videos. And it was slower than I expected, but I think he was able to download the file at the end. And this is the way how I plan to share my data that I used for training of this algorithm, this single frame classifier.
And you've got a server that streams that IPFS.
Yeah, it's here next to me.
Okay.
and it's a decentralized kind of technology. So everyone that downloads the data will automatically become a peer in the network if he wishes to.
Okay. So and just to make it clear, you're talking about the training material only.
Yeah, legacy data from Dahua camera.
Yeah. Got it.
So if you guys are interested, ping me on Discord, and I will provide you instructions.
There was someone coming on either today or yesterday, and he was also asking questions towards, he wants to contribute in machine learning and creating models because he does that professionally. I have to look it up who that is, but I will connect that guy to you.
Okay.
Uncle Ray, did you just say this? Did you just make that? Is it you?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, that's you. Okay.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah.
So first of all,
Hi guys.
welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry for joining late. My sons didn't really want to sleep, so this was the earliest opportune time. But yes, I just saw a link on Reddit yesterday, and I've been thinking about if something like this existed. When I saw it, I thought it was super cool, and I'd love to contribute in any way I can.
Cool. Okay. So let's talk about this off record now. We're still on record, but I would suggest that in the future you connect with Nicola, NGXYZ. It's Nicola. If you are going into machine learning and creating models and something like that, image recognition. So, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Hey guys, any more topics? Nope.
So, I had a quick question. With, say, lightning in the distance, or if someone was walking along where these stations are installed with a flashlight, or there's a car driving by, would the fisheye dome pick up those as lens flares and sort of see it as something in the sky? You know how you calibrate like AI against that? Run a flashlight around it and drive a car by it or something.
That's a topic. Yeah, we use a dome above the fisheye, and yes, the fisheye has, technically speaking, 220 degrees field of view, but we certainly crop it down by the 160 degrees, something like this. Yes, still there is another sheet of plastics in front of the camera, and yes, something can create reflections inside. Actually, I have no quick solution for that, because that could be anything. Even if someone hits it with a laser pen, for example, that light would certainly go in. The only thing I can say is put your stations, let's say, a little bit higher than road level. And also you will be able to mask out your surroundings. So if, let's say, you put it on top of a building, let's say, and then the neighboring building, there's the sleeping room of the neighbor, and your camera would see into the sleeping room. So in that case, for privacy reasons, you can mask that out. But that would certainly not help if there is a shining light from horizontally going into and creating reflections inside. Yeah.
From AI perspective, I already have one class registered. It's called lens flare, but right now it only contains examples of sun lens flare produced by sun, not by artificial lightning. So yeah, with time maybe we could gather a lot of examples to teach AI what is important and what is not. But except from AI, I don't know how we could mitigate this issue.
Might be something physical like a dog muzzle, you know, like a cone you put on a dog, you have a cone up, you're only going to take 30 degrees. Sounds goofy, but it'll keep things out. We're only looking at stuff above the 30-degree mark anyway, so anything below that we should be able to just physically hide if we have to. I mean, might work better than electronic. If you do it electronically, you're still going to get the glare in the glass, but if you put a physical wall there, the light will never hit it. You know what I mean? Just a thought.
That's certainly a great idea, and it's simple. You just put a cylinder on the outside, you glue it onto, done.
Yep.
That'd be a good idea.
But then at the end, if you have, let's say, an advertising image in a couple of 100 meters and that changes over time, it's better you mask it out. But fractions of lights can still be reflected from the sides.
Yeah, light is bouncy. Yeah. Really bouncy.
But this problem is not new to a lot of camera systems have the same issues. So I think it's more that you consider the place where you put your station right to look for a good place. Okay, hey guys, any more topics? Otherwise I would say we wrap it up for today. All right, so big wrapping. Thank you, bye bye.